He was a morbidly obese surgeon destined for an operating table and an early death. Now he's a rebel MD who is fabulously fit and fighting to make America healthy again. This is Stay Off My Operating Table with Dr. Philip Ovadia.
Welcome, everyone. This is Stay Off My Operating Table with Dr. Philip Ovadia, and we are joined today by Dr. Ravi Kamepalli. I think I got that, didn't I?
Yep.
Kamapali. There we go. And as best as I can tell, we've never had a wound and infectious. Yeah, I'm way over my head already. Phil,
We'll
introduce
rescue you.
our guest.
Yeah, one of the things that I love about the metabolic health movement and the community is how it really does touch just about every specialty in medicine. I would say really every specialty in medicine.
Yeah.
And I met Ravi, Dr. Kamapali, at a meeting probably 2 years ago now, maybe longer than that. Time flies when you're having fun. But yeah, it was great to, like you said, certainly not expecting necessarily to interact with wound care and infectious disease specialists. And yet here we are, and he's doing some amazing work integrating metabolic health into that specialty. So before maybe we get into that, Ravi, why don't you talk a little bit about your area of expertise and what wound care specialty looks like, and how it kind of overlaps with infectious diseases and how that led you into the metabolic health arena.
Yeah, I'm a board certified infectious disease doctor primarily, and I was lucky enough to have a wound clinic next to me. Right next to me, they used to send some consults on wound care, and I ended up questioning a wound care doctor about why he's doing the way he's doing it, and this then interest took over, and it was one of the initial aspects, like in 2000, this was. And it was like 90s, 2000, and basically ended up, as I was doing infectious disease fellowship, I kind of learned just out of eagerness to learn, and ended up then going to Ohio, where I was in Lima, Ohio, and ended up becoming a wound care and infectious disease doctor. Now, if you look at the whole process of problems with infection, it is a complicated issue. If you understand it, it is the plague of the current crisis. Infectious disease by itself, if you see, until 2009, most of the patients that died because of the mortality rate was more infection than non-infectious disease causes. It flipped. WHO in 2009 announced that non-communicable diseases now lead the mortality rate. As I was doing my infectious disease and wound care, I was kind of trying to understand where this whole process is going. And essentially, say diabetic, you take there are multiple infections. It could be viral, it could be bacterial, it could be fungal. So microbes are driving many problems, many issues. In fact, we humans are sack of bacteria that walk around with our own bacteria. So when this sac is moving around, and you throw another antibiotic for quote unquote infection, then the sac kind of modifies. So it's like seed and a soil concept, where we are our own bacteria, but then sometimes when there is a loss of balance, then diseases happen. Like you say, dis-ease, loss of easiness. So that's what it is. And as I became an infectious disease doctor and got into wound care, found out that I ended up becoming obese myself in 2015, and just got family issues that if you want, I can explain it to you why I got into that. But it's a reawakening. Every day is an awesome learning experience, and I say my patients come to pay me to teach me.
Yeah, amazing. Just to drive home a point that you made there, for essentially all of human existence, right? Infectious diseases have been probably, the leading cause of us dying.
Yeah.
And, we made a lot of progress, right, throughout the, probably starting with the Industrial Revolution and then getting into the, 1900s. Much of medicine was focused on conquering infectious disease, right?
Yeah.
Trying to fight off infectious diseases. Early to mid 1900s, we get antibiotics, and things like that start to get developed widespread. And the death rates from infectious diseases worldwide have dropped precipitously over the past 100 years. And at the same time, we see these chronic, non-communicable diseases, as they're referred to, rising. But the chronic diseases that so many of us, we talk so much about on these programs, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and the like. And I believe you said it was 2009 when worldwide, those trends finally crossed, and non-communicable diseases were responsible for more deaths than infectious communicable diseases were.
I would say infectious disease is the cause of all the chronic diseases. So now why do I say that? Because we have been tuned. Say, let's go back. Let's go back into origins of Earth. And when the Earth came and we had bacteria for single cell organisms, then multicellular organisms, then they had to talk to each other. And when they grew into organs and whatever forms they grew into, then we humans evolved or created. We don't know. So nobody can prove or disprove it. Everybody can have their own beliefs. So we have the fuel cell inside each of the cells. And then there is an energy toxicity that happens when we accumulate too much of energy that is stored away in the form of fat. But here is the kicker. We talk about bacteria causing problem, but bacteria have had millions of years of time to evolve. It's like you kind of kill them, they are just going to go down and persist like cancer persists. So it's like deep persisters. So in a wound care, what we talk about is biofilm, like the biofilm that is under the pond or an aquarium, the slime that forms. So the bacterial biofilm forms. So the same way, polymicrobial evolution. So when we talk about genetics and genes, what we have to understand is we cannot kill bacteria and keep the humans alive. So we need to learn how to survive. Say for COVID, during the COVID time, the whole idea of COVID turned around and had been hijacked to say that, hey, just take this vaccine, take this Paxlovid, and take this three times over time. And then, yes, I took vaccine myself, but I'm not denying that, except that the data is being questioned right now. And obviously, during that time, I wrote a position, like opinion piece, like a small opinion piece, where I talk about how nutritional ketosis, wherein T cells are augmented, can help with fighting COVID. And then since then, I have noticed like ton of related chart reviews or studies have been done. I have like ton of them I'm sitting on. So that's from a COVID standpoint. I mean, we could talk about diabetic foot infections. We can talk about lipoprotein a, which is the origin of why I got interested in this whole thing. That's a whole other problem.
Yeah, we'll definitely want to get into that because it's a fascinating aspect. But again, I just want to kind of, lay this out for people, right? It's not about, we have had to coexist, right, with these infections, these pathogens, right, bacteria, viruses, and the like, for our entire existence. And in fact, like you said, they were around before we were. We're maybe the invaders, and they're what first inhabited the earth. But either way, right, it's not about eliminating all those things, right? That's not feasible. It's about making your body able to coexist with them, essentially, is what we're trying to do. And that's what health is, essentially, right? And when you look at, these metabolic chronic disease processes that we talk about, part of the reason that they're so problematic is because they do weaken our body's defenses against things like infection. So with almost all of these chronic diseases, we see that people become more susceptible to infections, not able to overcome infections. And a lot of times that's what ultimately will end up killing patients, right? It may not be the diabetes per se that kills someone. It might be the infection that they get because they're diabetic and they're not able to, coexist with these things in nature anymore.
I want to, now that you bring that, can I explain this thing that is behind me? I call this concept of disease triangles. So as an infection.
Real quick, Ravi. We've got half of our people are going to be listening, not reading, not watching. So explain it as well as show
Yeah,
it.
I'll do that. I'll do that. So in this concept of disease triangles, so imagine two triangles, the base of the triangle being genes, okay? And the left side is environment, the right side of the triangle is lifestyle. So that's what, as a social preventive medicine class, that's what we are taught. And that's in India. I don't know what is taught here because I graduated in India. But I mean, that's the only thing that I really remembered in medicine. I'm relearning medicine all over again, amazingly. And but that did not explain the disease occurrence for me, those three things. What I then decided trying to figure out this whole process is trying to understand how if you imagine another triangle on the bottom of the top triangle, which had genetics, lifestyle, and environment, that modifies the lipid system and the immune system, influences the microbes and microbiome through the genes and genetics. So these two triangles are connected by our genes and genetics. So the genes could be the seed, but the question is, depending upon the lifestyle and environment, and the bottom triangle, immune system and a lipid system, and depending upon your microbes and microbiome makeup, you will end up manifesting dis-ease. So that's the concept that I want to spread the knowledge. So it's like when you have a coronary artery disease, they talk about atherosclerosis. They don't talk about inflammation. They don't talk about insulin resistance. And the problem is that you are trying to kill now. They are trying to bring up all these different molecules. These statins are there for per se. And when you have immune system problems like rheumatoid arthritis, they are killing the immune system. They are preventing the response of the body to protect itself. And now, with all the inflammation leads to elevated LP(a) because of your genes, they say, but I say it could be genetically determined, but it can be nutritionally driven. So this LP(a) is so complex a topic that you cannot give a mass recommendation to everybody the same. So that's what is going to worry me next. So I've been into this LP(a). I'm a kind of a pseudo lipidologist because I don't have time to take certification for it. But ended up that it's a huge issue in healthcare that's going to drive the future of what's going to happen from a lipidology standpoint. I know Philip has a significant underlying understanding because he touches the heart, unlike me.
For lipidology, I can kind of figure out what the immunology side, the body's immune system, but explain, please, lipidology.
So immune system, when we're talking about immune system too, it is your white cells, your lymphocytes, and what they stimulate to take the bacteria out. So that is the basic of immune system there. Like we have there's something called as immunoglobulins that the body secretes to help. So in any injury, number one, the first step is inflammation. Okay, so
Right.
inflammation event happens because of something, then platelets getting released and the immune system getting stimulated. Now, when the immune system goes and tries to eat whatever is there, like the white cells is going and eating the bacteria or viruses, then more inflammation happens, pulling, come help me kind of. And that's when the lipid system sends in its energy and it's cholesterol. It's like a spackling on a wall.
Oh, so yeah, cholesterol is part of the lipid system.
Yes.
It helps with when inflammation is occurring, cholesterol comes along to kind of assist the healing process.
It's like a spackling it's like a hole in the wall, and you put the spackling to do that, then you then heal it over so that then the underlying epithelial cells, it could be in the vessels, it could be endothelium, in the gut, it could be gut endothelium, wherever it is, it could be the epithelial lining that is being protected. That's the key.
Okay. I think I understand. So
that's the concept of disease triangles. I try to kind of promote that. So I try to, that kind of had an epiphany for me. After being a doctor graduating in 95. It took me 20 years to figure that out. So don't blame yourselves. So it took me 20 years to figure out that I was on the wrong path.
Yeah. And, to your credit, most of your colleagues in this space still, haven't figured this out, right? We talk about wound care, and again, maybe to, let people understand what that really is. People get injuries, right? And if everything is working well, that injury heals, right? And maybe it's an injury caused by a surgery, an incision, maybe it's an injury caused by an accident, you scrape yourself or whatever it is. But in many people, and especially people with these chronic metabolic diseases like diabetes, the wound healing system can't work properly. And these things become chronic. They don't heal up. And oftentimes they can get infections, which is where the crossover, with your infectious disease specialty comes. And there's a lot of resources and a lot of effort put into trying to, help this person who has these metabolic diseases heal these wounds. Ultimately, it can lead to things like amputations and even death when the infections become overwhelming. And it hasn't really occurred to most of your colleagues. If we can improve that person's metabolic disease, right? If we can improve their diabetes, and we can, that can make them stronger, their body stronger, to be able to now fight off these infections or heal these chronic wounds. So what kind of led you to that insight, like I said, that so many of your colleagues haven't come to?
So for me, I go towards something that I don't understand. It's like I'm like this firefighter who just walks in. And every time I see a new patient, I just want that my happiness is in helping and understanding that complex problem. I went into infectious disease just because I, as an internal medicine doctor, graduated and board certified, I didn't have a clue about antibiotics. So I just said, okay, I'm taking 1 year off doing HIV, trying to understand, and I got into ID fellowship. So I try to go into something that I don't understand. Infectious disease, now obesity, I did not understand. Now lipidology, I don't understand. Now I want to deliver healthcare at scale. I don't know how to do it. So I went on to end up doing telemedicine. And I do a lot of clinical trials. I've done around 78 clinical trials. And the question is simple. How can we humans be inquisitive enough to learn? And I'm not going to stop learning till the day God decides to take me home. So the question is simple. I don't look at myself as a bug doctor. I'm a human doctor, and I take care of balancing the bugs to help the people get better. So identifying yourself as a human doctor is a first step to learning many things. And now you understand it because you're blessed to learn for so much time, and you're there to help the other person who is suffering, coming to you for help. Now, what I advise, I'm blessed in one way because I was exposed to this, and I took the opportunity, and I put myself in situations where I have to learn more. And lucky that things opened up. And now that what I'm trying to help is to help, like I say, so right now for Society for Metabolic Health Practitioners, when I go to the meetings, I talk about wound care. And when I'm at the national wound care meetings, I talk about in metabolic health. When I'm going to ID meetings, I'm talking about metabolic health, I'm talking about in wounds. So I'm trying to populate, cross-pollinate, like a butterfly does, going around trying to do that. But then it's so hard because we are in silos of excellence in healthcare right now. And the problem is the independence of doctors is being stolen. And that's a painful process for me because I think that's the real cause of burnout. And I have big thinkings and big plans and big processes, but the idea is simple. We cannot do this alone. We have to team up. We have to learn from each other. And in fact, one of my cardiothoracic surgeons was one of my best friends who helped me learn wound care a lot more. If he had any problems with his heart wounds, post-op, 5 to 10% of them get infected. There's no way in hell that anybody says, I don't have infections, I beg to differ. You might be the greatest surgeon, but the question is what that person's body composition, body timing is, or you had to take an emergency surgery, and you will end up having issues. So the issues should not stop us from doing the intervention that's going to help that person. You see? So then the question is, things happen, and I've done, like, for deep sternal wounds, I've done leech therapy into the sternum. And I've healed necrotic wounds. I did platelet-rich plasma. So issue is simple. You learn, keep learning. And innovation happens because you have that urge to help. And the next steps that I'm trying to do is help remote wound care. So we have a platform-based thing that I'm painfully developing, and we are developing remote patient wound care. So where they are everywhere. Say, suppose you're a surgeon, you do surgery, and they are from 4 hours away from you. So you want to see what it is. They are not, telemedicine is now, since COVID is good, but I've been in the telemedicine world since 2015. So trying to innovate and develop, and say a patient can take a picture and it comes to you. And patient can take a picture at every dressing chain, it comes to you, so that they don't have to come unless they are just needed. So tools, techniques, and processes are there, and colleagues have to learn and be open and say, oh, that guy is doing that, let him do that. No, it behoves you to learn and be there and maybe add value and try to figure out how you can change. That's why I talk about this a lot. And if I see on my social media, I put hashtag removing barriers to healing is my hashtag. That I every time try to say, just think about what you're doing today for this patient to remove barriers to healing. I don't look at it like, oh, I have to do 10 days antibiotics, I have to do 6 weeks antibiotics, I have to do, no. Yeah, you determine this thing, you figure out, you see them continuously. The goal is tracking. The goal is tracking. Anything you do, track it and go back and explain it to the family and the patient, they'll be fine with it. That's when tracking is lost, when the problems start.
Tracking?
Yeah. So tracking, suppose if you have a wound, you need to track how it's healing. Or if you have a glucose, you need to track, okay, you're taking this food, this is the response of the food. So problem is, healthcare has become an episodic intervention. So you go to the doctor, he does throw some pills on you, and you go home for 3 months, 6 months, and you feel fine. So you cancel the appointment. So it ends up being a year. And in the meantime, you're eating all the crazy food, and you don't know. They do this hemoglobin A1C every 3 months, but why did that happen? What did this guy eat?
Gotcha.
So that mindset, the high touch approach to healing is what I take. So I've integrated metabolic interventions into this platform: food logging, glucose monitoring, continuous glucose monitoring, and remote patient monitoring, nurses to coach, and also wound care part of it. So the idea is not just, kind of giving them a quick suggestion, but also giving them tools, techniques, and processes to do it. Like, I have patients in Texas who are from here who go there and they have trouble, and I'm on the thing, they take the picture, I look at it, and I say, no, you have to go to there is a foot doctor there, go there. Oh no, they said, no, Dr. Ravi, you did so good, I'm going to come to LaGrange to see you. I said, no, go to the doctor there. So no, she's coming on the 19th. So I said, I don't know what it is.
It sounds like it's funny, as I was reading about you, I was interested in the role of metabolism and wound healing.
Okay.
But it sounds like you've got a much bigger vision
Yeah.
than that. It sounds like you're literally, maybe, I don't know if you're pioneering, Phil would know better than I would, but it sounds like you're pioneering
I have
a
a dream.
completely different way of practicing medicine.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not new. Maybe you're returning to a really old way. I don't know. It sounds.
Yeah. Let me tell you why this happened. In 1994, 93, 94, I helped a patient, thought I was helping a patient from my village back home. I was in medical college. So I was trying to help the patient with a diabetic foot ulcer. They amputate his leg above knee. And he had a foot ulcer. And I was so driven at that point. I was thinking I was going to save this foot. He's going to go back. The guy died in 2 years. And in my graduation, I was so unhappy with India. I was so unhappy with the services that are available because of economic aspect. And I wrote myself a goal to help create a self-sustaining healthcare system in India is my life goal. And to fulfill that goal, I married to come to US. I just married my wife, who is still my wife to this day, just to come to US, because in India, we did not have that much visa. There's a significant visa issues. So I literally changed my life to come to US just to build a self-sustaining healthcare system in India. So to do that, I've started something called as Indian Podiatry Association in India. And I have around 5,000 doctors in India, which I'm part of that organization. We have this training courses that we do. And I do a lot of activity in India. So we have this organization across 18 states of the country. So I'm working, I enjoy every moment of it. So it's very empowering. It's very simple for me. It's very simple.
I wanted to go back to a phrase you used, I don't know, 20 minutes ago that just struck me. I've never heard anybody use these two words together. Maybe it's simple, but it sounds deep. You talked about energy toxicity.
Ah, okay. So you want me to explain it? Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like there's an awful lot packed into that little phrase.
Yeah.
Unpack that for me.
So basically, like we were talking about the bacteria, when the bacteria originated, so the survival of the whole earth depends upon the sunlight. Sun is the source of energy. And plants and animals have different organelles that got integrated to those cells. In plants, it's called chloroplast. They form the chlorophyll, the green thing, and that is their energy. They take that and make that into fruits and roots and tubers and potatoes and all that stuff. So they take their energy form and they take carbon dioxide, convert them into energy form that gets stored in form of the fruits and the vegetables, whatever they grow and whatever. And that is their path. So they take carbon dioxide, produce oxygen. But on this side, the similar organelle called mitochondria got into the human cells and now both these chloroplast and mitochondria are the energy cells of those cells, the plants and animals. Now, inside this mitochondria, we have a pathway of energy passage. It's called electron transport chain. So there are 4 steps to that. The final step is where the electrons transport chain gets manifested in the energy form. If you have a dam, depending upon the dam, how tall the dam is, you produce that much energy. That's the 4th step, okay? Don't forget about the 4th step, but the first 2 steps are very important. In the first step of that electron transport chain, it's called cytochromes. Don't worry about it. It's a 4 steps of cytochromes. When the carbohydrates are burnt, it goes into the first step, okay? There's some molecule called acetyl-CoA, and the carbohydrates goes into this first step, okay? But now, when you're burning fat, so in the first step, there is something called as, what is that? Free radicals are produced, electrons. So the free radicals are released when they're like oxidized or whatever. And
Right.
the problem, that is a problem with carbohydrate metabolism in the first step. But in the second step, if you're fat-centric, you're not in that acetyl-CoA that is produced by fat goes into the second step, not producing that much of free radicals. So there is less inflammation. Now, why do I call energy toxicity? Now, we all have a balance, like we talked about earlier. So we burn carbohydrates, protein, and fat. And when we use it, that's fine. It's good. Okay. But
Right.
when there is too much, our body is like a pot. Okay. This pot has a dam. Think about your pot as having a dam. And that dam's name is hormone called insulin. This hormone insulin holds on to the fat. Now, if you don't have the damn insulin, you can DAMM or
Yeah,
DAM,
yeah.
whatever you call it. But the question is that in type 1 diabetics, that insulin is not produced. So we need that insulin. Now, when you are hyperstimulated, when you're eating more carbohydrates, the dam doubles up. So you pile up all the energy in here in the form of fat. So now, when your body, you're genetically predetermined to have certain amount of fat. When that predetermined threshold is reached, then that immune system that is trying to protect you will go in there and try to take it out. And that produces inflammation. And now, energy toxicity. Okay, there's more inflammation. So there is everything, your body starts acting against you. Your immune system is working against you. And that is the leading cause of, say, atrial fibrillation. That's a whole problem. So the idea is that's a core cause of where inflammation is going. We're talking about all the other drugs to reduce everything, but nobody's targeting it. Say recently there was a drug, I think methotrexate is one thing, but colchicine, they are talking about using colchicine to stop inflammation. So why not develop the people's knowledge about the underlying root cause of inflammation is excess fat mass disease, and underlying knowledge of how they can empower and learn. Say, if I eat this food, how can I burn it? Or use your tools like, you have a glucose meter, you have a ketone meter, you can check it. And I do check it. So then this goes into my platform and I track the food, I log the food, and I'm able to see whether I'm into ketosis or not, or whether my glucose is striking or not. So my behavior changes. So if I did not sleep early and nobody is born with knowledge, you see. Once you use Aura ring, those are things. No, so it all comes down to how you use the food that kind of becomes the harbinger for our energy being used right or wrong, or over time, excess energy that gets stored can be a nemesis that becomes energy toxicity, manifesting in different forms of, again, dis-ease.
We touched earlier on the role that cholesterol and lipids, play in the immune system, but I think that would be a good topic for us to dig a little deeper into. Obviously, in society in general and, within medicine, the thoughts around cholesterol are focused mostly, if not exclusively, on the role that it may or may not play in heart disease. And I think it's very underappreciated the other roles that cholesterol plays in the body. And, as part of our immune system is a big one. So let's dig into that a little bit more. Talk some about what role cholesterol plays in the immune system. And then maybe we can get into the lipoprotein A story, LP(a), which is a fascinating aspect of cholesterol that we're only really starting to unpack.
So I will talk about it with a caveat. I'm not a lipidologist, number one, and I kind of learn it from a standpoint of how our body is using the lipid system to transport energy. And also, they talk about lipoproteins. Okay, now the body cannot have water and fat mixed together. So the body puts this into a molecule called lipoprotein. So these lipoproteins are amazing in that without lipoproteins, without lipids, we don't exist. Okay, so the idea is every cell's lined with these lipoproteins and every cell wall has it. And the question is, when the body has this lipoproteins which has cholesterol and triglycerides inside it, and they talk about molecules that are tagged with a marker on it, like lipoprotein A, lipoprotein B, depending upon the markers that are there on it. And obviously, the size of these molecules seems to be very important. When you're carbohydrate driven, and your immune system is not good, then the idea of metabolic syndrome where there's high triglycerides and low HDL is one of the metabolic syndrome criteria, which is what I teach to other parts being waist circumference, high blood pressure, and blood sugar. But coming back to the lipoproteins again, now the size of the lipoproteins are very important. And the body, when we are eating carbohydrates, it converts them into triglycerides, which is then go to the liver. But also in the liver, they are metabolized into VLDL, and then the other step, it goes down. It goes to LDL and IDL and a small dense LDL. Now, depending upon what happens during this, if you don't eat fat, though, our liver produces fat. Now, if you eat fat, our liver, the fat that we eat, really literally not much gets converted into the blood because it is used in the lymphatic channel. It goes into the different ducts, and then it gets used up as energy. Now, if you have high triglycerides, though, that's a totally different deal. So you're having increased atherosclerosis form. There is something called as atherogenic dyslipidemia, high triglycerides, low HDL. When the ratio is less than 2 or 1.5 or less, that's good. But when it goes below 2. More than 2 to 2.5, that's when you are starting having atherogenic dyslipidemia. Now, when these molecules are there, they talk about good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. The lipoproteins molecules, they talk about LDL, lipoprotein B being not good, but the LDL molecule, I should say. But then the size of that is very important. But then HDL molecules is another molecule that it works on reverse pump to get it better. So the question is, then they have something called as their marker is apolipoprotein A. So the issue is simple. For me personally, let me tell you my issue here. My mother had an intracranial bleed. That's my story in 2014. Okay, and it was a tragedy that I had to face through. And I took her blood, my blood, found out that I have 2 mutations that increase my risk for brain aneurysm and hypertension, and ENOS2 mutation. So I had to figure out what to do. So I don't know what is lipoprotein. This is like a 20-year doctor who is facing this thing, who has a gene and who has something that he has to do about it. And nobody knows what to do. This is a freaking new molecule, and this is a 20-year doctor, board certified in infectious disease and doing all these crazy things around the world, but not knowing where the hell he is going. And he is 227 pounds with a BMI of 32. Okay, now, then I said, to hell with it, let me learn about this. Went to one of those OMA meetings where I met Dr. Eric Westman, and it changed the whole thing. So then I started reading up and then ended up learning more about it and understood a lot, met the leaders of low carb movement, all the Finney and the whole Wolick, the Sarah Halberg, the Dr. Noakes, and all those people. And ended up at one of the conferences in 2018. And I got into this Feldman. I met him there in 2018. And I started looking at trying to understand. And I said, I just out of the whim got an in-body machine and started doing in-body on my patients, just left and right, free, no cost to the patient. I spent $15,000 to do it. So understanding my own body composition, I did it for that. But understanding my body composition, and they said, oh, LDL is genetically determined. Sorry, LP(a) is genetically determined. I said, what should I do? Okay, it's genetically, should I take niacin? Oh, it gives you flushing. We don't want that. So I said, okay, at least I know I am obese. I have to reduce weight, and let me see what I do. So I can send you my thing that kind of goes, whenever I behave, it's fine. Whenever I misbehave, or for 3 to 6 months, I go off the plan, my LP(a) goes up. So the idea is simple. My LP(a) was 105. It is down to 58 or 60 right now. And basically, what I'm trying to tell is, for me, lipoprotein could be genetically determined, but I think it is nutritionally driven and inflammation driven. So it's like, for me, what I see as an infectious disease doctor, when I'm doing antibiotics for osteomyelitis, I do inflammation parametrics, Jack. I know you will ask this, but it's something called as ESR and C-reactive protein. That's regular C-reactive protein and ESR for osteomyelitis, whether it's getting better or not. So the same way, I look at this and say, why is my LP little fluctuating like this? So basically, I need to control my inflammation to control the LP little a, which is supposedly highly atherogenic, because this is like an LDL molecule, like with the apolipoprotein B, with a tail of kringle tail of LP little a. It is going there to the body, to the site of inflammation to protect you. It is not the culprit. It is there, going there to do the job to protect you. Now you go and kill that LP little a. What is protecting you? So that's my problem with this whole moment of drug for a disease kind of a thing. It used to be drug for a bug, like you said. In when penicillin was invented, and then by the time World War ended, and then we started having penicillin resistance. We went up inventing more and more, and we pigeonholed ourselves when one of the big directors or somebody in FDA said that, oh, we will not need anything, or will not, all the bugs will be conquered. So
Yeah.
it's like we are doing fecal bacteriotherapy now. I've done fecal bacteriotherapy on my patients since 2007, by the way. And I have had posters on it, the side effects of antibiotic therapy. When you have a bad diarrhea and your bacteria change, then you give them stool from a donor. So I used to do that a lot. Now I'm not able to do that much because of this COVID thing. I have a whole protocol, a YouTube video on how I did that, and amazing outcomes, amazing outcomes. So
I
Yeah.
love
So
that as a layperson, I love that you put out there in the world for us that this LP little a that has this horrible reputation is actually trying to help you. It's trying to protect you. It's the body's response to a problem. It's not the problem.
that's what I believe. But the lipidologist might disagree. I'm not a lipidologist, so that's why I said I say that with a caveat for you to understand that my understanding is as a common doctor, as a small doctor in a small town, and I just take care of my patients, and I'm not here to fight anybody.
Oh,
yeah, you're kind of, I think, being somewhat prescient as we look at LP little a, lipoprotein A. It seems to be the hot topic, right, in medicine, one of them, because there are drugs coming that are targeting this.
Yeah.
And it's perceived as, LP little a is the problem. And like you said, it may very well be that LP little a is the solution. And to me, it very much mirrors, how the whole LDL narrative came to be. We have patients with heart disease that have increased LDL levels, and that turned into the LDL must be causing the heart disease.
Yeah.
And, we now know, or some of us know, many of us don't, that LDL isn't the actual problem to start with, and LDL may be part of the solution. And we're going about this in a way that really, I think, is doomed to failure, but I guess we're going to see with these drugs for LP little a. But again, the important thing for people to understand is that LP little a, lipoprotein A, is, the common thinking around it, like you said, is that it's genetically determined and you can't do anything about it. And yet, you're an example, and I've seen many others, of when you lower the inflammation and when you improve the metabolic state of the patient, LP little a does become modifiable, we'll say. And, we can see some changes related to that. But it's a fascinating thing. And, again, getting back to how a wound care doctor and an infectious disease doctor starts thinking about LP little a. I mean, LP little a is a repair mechanism that our body has. Many people have kind of theorized, and there's a lot of evidence to support the fact that it's basically the human equivalent of vitamin C, which humans are one of the few species that can't synthesize vitamin C. And we synthesize this LP little a instead. And it has to do with the strengthening of our tissues, the cross-linking of our tissues, and then healing issue, healing problems when they occur. It's a fascinating thing and a story yet to be told, but glad to see that you are thinking about it.
Let me just step it up a little bit. How I want you to understand, like, most infectious disease doctors are amazing. The knowledge that they have is kind of out of, it blows me away. Like, I learn from them. And the issue is, most of infectious disease doctors are like Sherlock Holmes trying to figure out the root cause underlying it. Whereas for me, I'm not, I'm trying to figure out the root cause, but also turn around and understand it and try to go and think of it like a first principles approach. What I should do? What is the, like putting 1+1 is 2 kind of a thing. And trying to understand that, hey, this thing is happening. What should we do? Say, going back to Lp(a), Lp(a) is, most of the healthcare problem right now has a lot to do with clotting disorders. Okay, you get the DVT. Why does it happen? Okay, protein C, protein S deficiency. Okay, that's what. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I cannot do anything about it. But the question is, what if it is like one of these mechanisms of clotting, wherein if you say like Lp(a), plasminogen and is similar to Lp(a). So the idea is, what if this Lp(a) is going there and clotting that leg clot, which is causing the DVT? So these are simple things that we have to then take that. But then now in healthcare, this silos of excellence is becoming as a mass medicine mindset. So everybody, you come up with this gospels of guidelines. It's like the gospel is there. You have to remember it. It's like a guidepost. Guidelines have to be guideposts. They're not gospel. Okay, so we have to make the difference and learn from that. Okay,
Good marketing there.
you have a guidepost. Okay, that's great. Let me take that guidepost. Now let me go and figure out what is the evidence base. What is evidence-based medicine? Like, you have the standard of care guidelines, and you have the patient's choice, but also you have the doctor's experience. So these things 3 have to fall in place to get an evidence-based medicine. That is evidence-based medicine. Now, what is happening with attorneys and all that is totally different. So the problem is, not tracking again. Like, you did something, you have to track.
I just love the alliteration of guidepost, goalpost, gospel. That's good marketing there.
I don't know. I don't market much, but I think, if you take the issue about cancer, let me tell you something. Direct cost for diabetes in general in 2017 was $237 billion. Okay. Now, let me compare that to cancer in 2015. It was only $80 billion. So 2037 for diabetes to 80 billion for cancer. And up to 1/3 of that cost in diabetes are attributed to lower extremity problems.
I just want to wait. You're saying diabetes costs 3 times as much as cancer?
Yes.
Folks, pay attention.
Yeah. So
Pay attention.
basically, if you
Holy
think of,
crap.
I'm sorry you feel that way, but I feel that with every one of my patients. Let me tell you, I think, like Mahatma Gandhi said, you have to be the change that you want to see. And I go back to my 1995 writing that I write. I'm going to achieve that, but with America, I'm able to build it. With India, I'll be able to execute it. That's what I'll do. But the question is simple. We have to understand that when you call about, even think about, so understand this one. This is very important too. Breast mortality, the 5-year mortality for breast cancer is 9%. Okay, now let me explain this to you. From the mortality for small amputation is 46.2.
What's a small
Minor
amputation?
Minor amputation. Now, if you have a major amputation, it is 56.6. So breast cancer is 9. Minor amputation is, for the foot, minor amputation is 46.2, and major amputation is 56.6. And all cancers, suppose if you have a metabolic ill health, there are 13 cancers that are associated with it. And if you combine all those cancers, the mortality rate is 31% only.
Wow.
So diabetic foot beats all cancer mortality except lung cancer. Lung cancer is 80%. Only lung cancer is the one that is higher than diabetic foot amputation. So, the diabetic foot is the plague of healthcare. It's a nemesis. I mean, there are new. See, I call it servant leadership. Okay, this is what I try to expose. I'm at disposition of my patients. I take Medicare. I take no insurance. I take every insurance. I take no insurance. I just close my eyes and just insurance is just for namesake for me. It just comes in and we just bring them on. The idea is, healthcare delivery is a major problem. So I'm an infectious disease doctor. I'm supposed to be a population health expert. But I think is mass medicine mindset is there, but we need to generate theories, not execute personal care. So mass medicine mindset helps only develop a theory, but execution, real healthcare happens at power of one, N of one level. So
Right.
N of one personalized healthcare delivery models have to develop. And that's where the healthcare leadership has to change, where you need to use approaches that take the solutions that are able to be empowering the patient. So I talk about communication, personalization, realization, implementation, and reevaluation. And this I'm trying to integrate into a platform-based solution. And my hope is that the new administration hopefully understands that, there's good leaders there right now, I think, with Kennedy and all those people, and the new team that is there. I love them. And the question is simple: how we can take a small solution and scale it. When I'm talking about doing this in India, we can do it here. There's a lot of money. The money is not a problem, except knowledge, communication, personalization, realization, implementation, and reevaluation. If we have a leadership that is really wanting to do it, we have empowering doctors. Like other infectious disease doctors too will be here because everybody wants to help. We go into medicine to help people.
Yeah.
We don't go just say, oh, I'm making millions of dollars. Come on. If I would want to make millions of dollars, I would be some Wall Street banker or something, or put some money in Bitcoin or something.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I just went off a tangent there.
No, that was great. And I think it really shows your passion for all of this and the drive behind why you're doing what you're doing. And I know people are going to want to know more about that and learn more about it. So where's a good place for them to connect with you and learn about all the cool stuff that you're doing?
So basically, I'm on social media, at Wound Physician is my X handle. I'm on LinkedIn. You can just Google my name, or Ravi Kamepalli. And hashtag removing barriers to healing is what I use. And the platform that I work on is called Coligomed, COLIGOMED. And of course, I do telemedicine consultation and all that. My website is nobadbugs.com.
I love that.
Nobadbugs.com. I like that one.
Because I believe that human centricity, because did you know that MRSA was deep in the Arctic drills that they did? There was MRSA there.
Like miles underground, you mean?
Miles underground. So that's that. I came across that article and said, what am I doing trying to kill it? I said, hello, let me go back. And that's when I came up, okay, if that is there, so humanity was there, and now we evolved. Is that a bad bug? It's there for a reason. We don't know the reason. We're just trying to kill it. So I just said, I have to rebalance it. There is no bad bug. So that's when I kind of had that epiphany, and things have been different since then.
Awesome.
A lot to unpack there.
Yeah. Fascinating discussion. Thank you for bringing this aspect of metabolic medicine to our audience. Like we said, it's an area that we haven't had a chance to.
Add one more thing, Philip. Thank you
Sure.
very much for taking time from your thing to, as a cardiovascular surgeon, you have amazing hands, but you can have an amazing brain. But the thought process of putting all this together and trying to come out and do this with common people like Jack, who is out there trying to help you to take this to the next level. Thank you, Jack, for it. And then also, I would highly urge people to look up organizations like Society for Metabolic Health Practitioners, which is one of the organizations that is truly, I say truly patient centric, basically suffering person centric. So it's open for medical professionals and also common people. They do have conferences twice a year. So understand that metabolism is key to many problems and you can fix it yourself. You have the knowledge, you just have to seek, and there is people around there. Just, when the student is ready, the teacher will come. It's with the technology that is out there, there is options. It's a small village, the world. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Fantastic.
indeed. Thank you, Ravi.
Thank
Our
you.
guest has been Dr. Ravi Kamepalli. His website is nobadbugs.com, and all his contact information will be available on the show notes. For Dr. Philip Ovadia, this has been Stay Off My Operating Table. We'll talk to y'all next time.
Chances are you wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you didn't need to change your life and get healthier. So take action right now. Book a call with Dr. Ovadia's team. One small step in the right direction is all it takes to get started. Contact us at ifixhearts.com/talk. That's ifixhearts.com/talk.